Welcome to the Vestry induction video on the topic of health, safety and well-being. This is an introductory video and as such will not go into too much detail. There will be a pause about halfway through for discussion so that you can consider some of the unique aspects of health, safety and well-being in your parish. Health and safety in the parish is a commitment that we all make across the diocese. A commitment to the health, safety and well-being of everyone involved in ministry stems from the belief that everyone should be protected from harm and injury. All we do is for people's well-being, and we do it in the name of Jesus Christ, as a response to the commission that he has given to the Church. In New Zealand, the Health and Safety at Work Act 2015 applies to all church property, work and ministry. Churches have a duty of care to ensure no one is harmed while attending services or related church activities, or while working for us or on our premises. The Act requires us to keep our workers and volunteers safe. For example, office staff, those who attend our events, and those who do odd jobs around the place. Our volunteers are an integral part of the church, and we have a duty of care to ensure they are protected from hazards that may cause harm. The Diocese Handbook contains an outline of the Act, as well as our health and safety management plan and policies. This plan is to be used in each parish and is available on our diocesan website and in each parish as a printed document in the red folder. All clergy and vestry members must familiarise themselves with this plan. In it, you will also find useful procedures and templates for common activities in our churches. The health, safety and well-being of people in the parish is the responsibility of the whole of Vestry, not just the vicar or the wardens. It needs to be an agenda topic on every vestry meeting so that the whole of Vestry is aware of any incidents, accidents or near misses, so that changes can be made to risk assessments or the hazard register can be updated. As vestry members have the greatest ability to influence health and safety in the parish, they carry significant responsibility under this Act. Health and safety is a huge topic, and the requirement on vestries can feel overwhelming, especially on the wardens and the vicars, who must annually sign a letter of health and safety compliance on behalf of the parish. An annual review of health and safety in the parish is best done in April or May, as the compliance letter I've referred to is required by the end of June. Each parish needs to have a vestry health and safety advocate, and having a health and safety committee is one good way of sharing the load and doing the necessary work. The diocese has a dedicated health and safety coordinator who is available to assist every parish on any matter of health and safety. One component of the health and safety plan is our SafeHere system. At the heart of SafeHere is the care and protection of people, ensuring their physical, emotional and spiritual well-being. It is a system that helps to protect people who come to our ministries as well as those who lead or volunteer in them. In 2013, the diocese agreed that all parishes use SafeHere. Everyone doing ministry with or to children, young people and vulnerable adults is required to complete an appointment process. This involves an application, an interview, a referee check, a police check, a training course, and an appointment agreement, all to be completed prior to starting in ministry. Although it can be done alone online, the training is best done in facilitated groups by watching the excellent video series filmed in this diocese and having discussion and filling in the forms in the questionnaire. Although SafeHere is managed by the Diocesan Health and Safety Coordinator, parish coordinators can set up new people with a personal login and password. The system reports on their levels of training and renewable dates. There are 3 levels of training. Team member training for those who are members of a ministry team. Team leader training for those who are on a ministry leadership team. And the coordinator level is for all vicars or priests in charge, as well as for a lay SafeHere coordinator in every parish. This person is appointed by Vestry and acts as a second SafeHere coordinator alongside the vicar. All Vestry members are expected to complete SafeHere team member training and renew this every 3 years. Let's take a few minutes to discuss health, safety and well-being in your parish. Consider the following questions. What parish activity do you sense carries the most risk, and for whom? Why might it be helpful to run an emergency evacuation drill every 6 months as required? Welcome back. For the remaining few minutes of this video, we'll take a look at the standards for safe ministry and conclude by mentioning the work of the Royal Commission into Abuse and Care. The Anglican Diocese of Nelson is committed to the well-being of all people by showing the love of God in the name of Christ in every ministry of every parish. Any misconduct by a leader, lay or ordained, is a misuse of power that distorts God's love and misrepresents God's kingdom. The pain caused when a leader causes harm has a profound and long-lasting effect on everyone involved and impacts the witness of the Church. The area of ministry standards is rife with technical terminology and churchy words, and so it is important that we explain what we mean and use plain language as much as possible. Take, for example, the question, what is ministry? If the person is ordained, then whatever they do is ministry, whether they are being paid or not. The nature of ordained ministry is such that the call of God applies to their whole of life for the whole of their life. While the teachings of Christ are for all disciples of Jesus, clergy are accountable to living out that obedience in a very public way. This does not mean that they cannot have personal or private time away from the spotlight, but even in those spaces, their conduct should not bring the name of Christ into disrepute. It is also vital that we acknowledge that ministry is done by people who are not ordained or hold the bishop's license. We believe in the ministry of Christ done through every member of his body, the Church. Ministry is any work done to further the kingdom of God in the name of Christ from a particular parish to reach people with the gospel or encourage people in their faith. To receive ministry is also to experience various forms of power imbalance. Representative power is evident when ministry is done under the banner of a parish, a diocese, and a bishop. Spiritual power is present when someone is seen to be representing God. Pastoral work, like visiting people, listening to or praying for people, involves a number of imbalances in power. Being able to see real and possible imbalances in power is a crucial tool to monitoring and maintaining ministry standards. It's good practice to consider the perspective of someone who receives ministry. We need to be very clear about what they should never experience. We also need to empower people to know when the ministry they experience falls below an acceptable standard. Our information must make speaking up about their experience as straightforward as possible. The expectations of appropriate ministry are contained in the laws of the Anglican Church in Aotearoa New Zealand. These are called the canons of the Church. The canons dealing with ministry standards are called Title D. The Church has an independent Ministry Standards Commission that oversees our complaints processes. This diocese is accountable to that commission, just as all other New Zealand dioceses are. Title D talks about unsatisfactory conduct, when a minister fails to observe a standard, and misconduct, which is the intentional, significant, or continuing departure from those standards. Let's be clear. Misconduct is when someone who is in a leadership, governance, teaching, or pastoral role violates boundaries with any parishioner or visitor of the parish, whether adult, child, student, employee, or staff member. Abuse can be emotional, sexual, physical, psychological, financial, and spiritual. If you are aware of or have experienced misconduct by anyone working for or ministering in an Anglican church in New Zealand, then please lodge a complaint so that the matter can be investigated. Equally, if someone approaches you and says that they have experienced misconduct, please support them to make a complaint. We seek to be open, accountable, and transparent with how this diocese practices safe ministry. All complaints are directed to the Ministry Standards Commission. Their website describes the complaint process and the possible outcomes of a complaint. Go to ministrystandards.org. The link for this is also on the diocese website and must be prominently displayed on all parish websites as well. The Commission is responsible for investigating breaches in standards by people in two groups. The first group is those who are licensed by the bishop to do ministry in an Anglican church, whether they are ordained or lay. The second group is all who don't hold the license, but who hold an office, like a synods person, or who are elected to serve on vestry, diocese committees, trustees, and board members. There is a third group of people who don't fit into these two categories. They fall outside of the current purview of the Standards Commission. People in this third group do not hold a bishop's license, but they do minister in the parish or they work for the diocese. They can be unpaid volunteers or maybe in a paid role. They include people like home group leaders, leaders of ministries to youth, children, or vulnerable adults. Everyone who represents the parish does so under the expectation that they uphold the code of ethics of our diocese and that our complaints policy applies to them. You can find these details on our website, nelsonanglican.nz. So what does all this mean for vestries? The monitoring of safe ministry in the parish is the responsibility of the whole of vestry, not just the wardens and vicar. It is not a matter of if a concern of ministry standards will be raised. It is a question of what to do when a matter is raised. The vicar and the wardens need to be clear with vestries about how a concern will be dealt with. Consider the following. Your vicar or wardens can speak with the diocesan manager at any stage for information and advice about what to do. To close this video, I'll make a very brief mention of the work of the Royal Commission into Abuse in Care. Our bishop, manager, and lawyers have complied with the requirements of the Royal Commission and have provided records of abuse known in the history of this diocese. Some of this history has direct links to the discoveries of abuse that have hit the headlines, like that which occurred at Dilworth School. The proceedings and recommendations from the Royal Commission have ongoing implications for the Anglican Church right across Aotearoa, New Zealand. There is much to do in this area. We are resolute about acknowledging the failures in our history, and we have committed this diocese to making the necessary changes along with other dioceses. The revision of Title D and the work of the Ministry Standards Commission are examples of this commitment. In this diocese, we now have a Ministry Standards Advisory Group that meets regularly to review all of our obligations, our policies, our guidelines, and our practices. The group is chaired by the diocesan manager and has representation from the bishop, the community, as well as survivors of abuse. That's the end of video number 3. Once again, congratulations for staying attentive throughout. Thank you once again for being part of Vestry. I hope you have been able to grasp some of the concepts of health, safety and well-being that are applicable in your parish. Ka kite anō, and see you on the next video.